Onorato and Miller, a smash hit for the NHL. That league has figured it out in between first and second halves to the season. The NBA, will they try to fix it or will they nix it when it comes to the All-Star game weekend? Spring training is underway. Bad news already on the injury front for the Yankees and Mets. Aaron Boone gets a contract extension, but the biggest news of the day comes in the NBA with a season-ending injury. It's Onorato and Miller. Let's get going, everybody.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Albany House.
Albany House, Marcella's, Novice, and Bevs and Performance Industrial back with us for another full year here on Onorato and Miller. All right, Ash, this has been, I didn't know what to make of it, but hockey has figured it out with the Four Nations Face-Off Championship. Now, can you do this every year with the same amount of juice? I don't know.
Probably
but the league thought, we're not going to do the All-Star game this year. We're going to do this thing called Four Nations Face-Off. U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland, and it has been awesome.
How do they pick the nations?
You know, it's a good question. I don't know. They're obviously all very hockey rich in terms of NHL players. But aside from the three fights in the first 9 seconds of U.S. Canada, which has stolen all the headlines, and rightfully so, because it felt, yes, I'm sure there was premeditation, but a lot of it just felt organically acrimonious, right? Like U.S. Canada, it's just awesome, and anytime they play it in international competition. I mean, you've got
aside
all the
from
best
those
players. Fights, this has been a lot of fun to watch.
No doubt. I mean, the talent that you have, and listen, Finland is talented, Sweden is talented, but when you've got two countries who are attached, and I think in a lot of ways Canada would claim that it's their sport.
Sure.
So I think it always becomes like a little bit of a chip on their shoulder type thing for the U.S. Like, well, forget baseball. We know baseball is our sport and America's pastime, but American hockey players want to show that they can play. And so it becomes a little bit of like, no, you know what? We're going to show you that we can play.
So as we do the show live on a Thursday night, this is a Thursday night championship game between the Americans and the Canadians. Anywhere you look, any sports book, basically a pick 'em. Maybe some have the U.S. as a slight favorite. They played earlier in this tournament in Montreal. U.S. wins 3-1. Now they're on U.S. soil, Boston's TD Garden for the championship.
It's going to be wild.
It's going to be awesome.
Wild.
I will see maybe the first period and then fall asleep.
And then you get, but like, and here's where listen, Charlie McAvoy is now done for a significant amount of time. There will always be the people that are like, well, listen, you're putting your body on the line, and there will probably be NHL teams who say we don't want our players playing before there are players saying we don't want to play in it.
Yeah, and look, there were NHL teams that said we don't want our guys going to the Olympics. But guess what? Next Winter Olympics, NHL guys are going back. There was a brief hiatus. They're going back now. These guys want to play for their country in international competition. And we'll get to what is happening with the NBA All-Star Weekend. It's just not going well. Sam is checking in. Sam, it's always good to have you. Dawn, I'm guessing you're loving the hockey.
Me? You? The two of us?
I don't know. That's why I'm assuming the hockey, because it's probably not. Thank you, John. We appreciate that. Your dad is fired up to watch the game. Sam says Canada in overtime. Ooh. And my head says Canada as well. My heart, of course, says U.S. And the U.S. has a better team. But I'm just looking at what the sharps, as they call them in Vegas, think. And when it's this even, it feels like the sports books are banking on Americans to bet on the U.S., but they know that Canada's probably the right side on this one.
You got money on this?
I don't yet.
Ooh, maybe
just bet the over, to be honest. It's 5.5 goals. Maybe just bet the over when it comes to that. 4-2 with an empty netter late.
5.5 fights under over.
Yeah, right. This is awful news out of the NBA just because he's such a generational player. Victor Wembanyama, 21 years old, just turned 21 at the beginning of January. Now going to miss the rest of the season with a blood clot in his shoulder. I've become more encouraged the more information that comes out on this. And it's being worded as Spurs shutting down Wembanyama. So he'll get treatment for this. And basically San Antonio was like, okay, there's no reason to risk this. What do we have? Another 30 games left in the
25,
season?
I think.
Okay. So, yes, we could make the playoffs or at least the play-in. But why risk the next 10, 15 years with this guy? Blood clots are serious no matter where they are in the body. And so, okay, let him get fully healthy. And I've read that it could be like a 6-month kind of recovery.
Yeah. I mean, and it's deep vein, which is a big kind. But, he's going to go on blood thinners. Then you're not playing contact sports for a while because it gets very dangerous. You get a cut and you don't stop bleeding. That's the stuff that's the stuff you don't mess with. And like I said, he's 21. He's not 35 trying to win his first and only title. He's got time. But I laugh. These numbers are incredible. So entering the day, the Spurs had a 15% chance of making the play-in, which I thought was kind of low. 3.2% of making the next round, the actual playoffs. After Wemby, 0.4% and less than 0.1%.
Yeah, I mean, look at what this guy's doing. 24, 11, 4, and 4. The 3.8 blocks per game lead the NBA. He is as advertised. And this is not...
I'm surprised that number's not bigger. It feels like every time I watch him, he has 6-7 blocks.
This is not like, oh, big guy, injury issues. It's not a foot. It's not a knee. This is... And it's not Chris Bosh's blood clot in the lungs type of thing. I think we can all feel pretty good.
Clots travel.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yeah. I think we can all feel pretty good, though, that it's not going to be quite as bad as maybe season ending makes it sound.
Yeah.
Right. There's
season ending because there aren't too many games left in the season.
Yeah. Choosing to shut them down here.
Hey, Carol.
Always good to see you too. Boy, do we do this now? I mean, is it worth doing now? Let's do this first.
Okay.
Lakers start the second half of the regular season with a loss at home to the atrocious Charlotte Hornets. And LeBron took 2 bad shots at the end of that game. They were down 3. He took a 3 way too. It was forced. It was too deep. It was too early. Missed it. Offensive rebound out to LeBron. Missed another 3 at the buzzer. So they lose 197 to Charlotte. The Lakers do. And Doncic was not good. 33 minutes, 14 points. Did not shoot it well from the field. But this is the headliner here. We will get Lakers Mavericks on Tuesday night. No Anthony Davis because he's still injured with the groin. And there'll be a lot of juice at, I keep wanting to call it Staples Center, crypto.com, whatever. Who cares?
I would like it more if it was Davis. In Dallas and in Dallas. Because the Lakers fans aren't upset about it. They don't really miss Anthony Davis. They got what they wanted in Luka Doncic. You got a generational talent if he resigns, by the way, which is far from a done deal. But yeah, I think it's so much more interesting if it's in Dallas because there's such disdain for the move in the first place. And then you get, I mean, it's just kind of funny. Like Anthony Davis lasted a handful of games with them before he was out hurt for at least a significant amount of time, weeks, not just like a couple days.
Any worry about the Lakers this season and next? I mean, they'll have to do some things in the offseason to address the front court and rim protection and all that stuff. But if they're one and done in the playoffs, that's going to be an ugly look for this team.
Yeah, and I think they could be.
Yeah, I think they could be too. Not going to play a ton of defense.
Nope.
And look, if they and Doncic is not going to play, again, doing the show live on a Thursday night, not going to play on this Thursday night for injury management, as they call it.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
Performance Industrial back with us for another year. Shout out to Bill and Karen Miller who run that great operation there. Quick comment here. Don't know that he won't need blood thinners for the rest of his life, right? There's a lot we don't know at this point.
Yeah.
I think from everything we've read, the team feels pretty good about him making a full recovery or returning to action next season. All right. I put in right, but maybe the finally.
I mean, I've been done.
Right.
So
So maybe the finally only applies to me. I am finally done with NBA All-Star Weekend. And I've been done with the game for a while.
I've been done with it forever.
But the 3-point shootout and marginally the dunk contest have held my interest for the weekend festivities overall. But here's where it just all went wrong this weekend. You have a veteran in Chris Paul who, by all accounts, people say is like just a good teammate. And obviously he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer with Victor Wembanyama on the biggest stage, bright lights, all of that nonsense, All-Star Weekend, skills competition, and they just make an embarrassment of that competition by chucking non-authentic attempts at the three-pointers and jumpers to try to speed through it. They get eliminated. That's a bad look. You've got these two guys who are in it and aren't taking it seriously. Okay.
And then they got disqualified.
Right. Then you have a 3-point contest that I watched that, aside from Buddy Hield in the first round, I mean, guys couldn't throw it in the ocean. It was embarrassing. Then you have a dunk contest, won for a third straight year by a guy who doesn't play in the NBA.
That's the worst look. I think of all of it, that's the worst look.
And then your revamped All-Star games on Sunday were the same. People said, what'd you think? I said, it was the same thing as the one singular game. I just had to watch 3 of them.
Yeah. And they were shorter.
Now, credit to Adam Silver for just like clawing at trying to make this work. The players won't allow it. And bad on them. Bad on one of them. Just one. For not showing up and taking it absolutely seriously. And it could have been Steph in his hometown, not his hometown, but you know what I'm saying. It could have been LeBron who, oh, by the way, like hours before the game says, I'm not going to be able to go. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is not a new injury, dude. You haven't played in a few days. You knew, I don't feel great. Give up the spot.
Right. If you're not going to, my thing is, if you're not going to play, you know you're not going to play. Say you're not going to play 3 days in advance. Like, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to manage my injuries. I'm going to rest. I'm going to whatever. If it's load management, I don't really care. But to do it hours before the game is ridiculous. Like, who wants to watch this crap?
If I am Adam Silver, I am so like personally offended by the disrespect from these players. I'm trying to keep this popular weekend. Okay, it's popular among fans, TV. I'm trying to keep this thing going, guys. And you just won't allow it. You won't even put 1 ounce of effort in one of these semifinal games. I think it had to have been Chuck's Global Stars. Game point, they're at 39. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's Canadian, goes right down the lane and an easy dunk to win it. I mean, nobody even tried to stop him on game point.
Yeah.
If you're not going to try there, where are you going to give any sort of You aren't.
You're not going to. Yeah.
So just give it up. Kevin Durant, who's a clown, tweets out, well, everybody loves to complain rather than actually watch. No, I watched, and I'm going to complain because it was pathetic. And he said, just give us the days off. Nobody really is happy about being here anyway.
Okay, fine.
You got it, man.
Yeah.
You got it.
Don't call it the All-Star break. You don't make All-Star teams. I wouldn't give him an NBA pro team, like all pro teams. Forget it. we're going to take away, all you get is an MVP and a rookie of the year. You don't get all the other stuff that comes with it. Like, being an all-star used to be a cool thing. And then you played in the all-star game and people cared about it.
And let me say this too. I would eliminate the recognition of being an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
If there's
That's
no
what I mean.
now look, but they still name Pro Bowlers. I would do away with that too. Because what makes me sick is when people start to bullet point Hall of Fame resumes and they say, 8-time Pro Bowler. Well, but they only showed up 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
10-time All-Star.
Or 12-time, and then they play and they dribble around.
But it doesn't matter, right?
And I could defend them, and I could run through them and score on them.
And I don't believe that any of that should be Hall of Fame resume material. Just because fans voted you into something, that doesn't make you a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So get rid of that too. I will not. Hand down or right hand
Bible up.
I will not watch NBA All-Star Weekend next year if it's the same as this year's format or similar.
I'll say, what if it's not, though? Are you going to watch it again?
I don't know.
It stinks.
Do you have a fix or should it just be wiped out?
No, just wipe it out. The players don't even have a fix. Like you said, Silver's grasping at straws, doing everything in his power, and good on him for trying to make it fun for the fans. But when the players don't buy in, it doesn't matter what it looks like. If the players bought in, this weekend might have been okay.
Yeah.
Like if LeBron had played and everyone had tried and they actually had guys in the dunk contest who can dunk or who play in the NBA, maybe it's worth watching. But if they don't care, why would we care?
And let me make this point here too, because I've heard people say it, like the NBA needs to do what the NHL is doing. And that would be Team USA versus Team World. You can't break it up into countries necessarily, but Team USA versus Team World. I think that would pique some fans' interest. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would do a damn thing to get the players to be motivated. No. I really don't.
They're
think
unmotivatable.
I don't think LeBron, Durant, I don't think they would care about losing to Jokic and Giannis in a US versus World All-Star game. I just don't.
Yeah. I think you're right.
The Olympics were encouraging because, man, those guys tried. We're not going to get it during an NBA regular season. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break here on Onorato and Miller. We are talking with 2 of the stars from Suits LA, coming to NBC Sunday night, February 23rd, premiering there. We're going to go down memory lane with the Miracle on Ice 45th anniversary. We'll be talking about something that Ash is doing this weekend as well, a women in sports panel with the Albany FireWolves. All that still ahead here on Onorato and Miller. Back in 45.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
The great thing about novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpin House.
Spring training underway in Major League Baseball. Thank goodness it's given us something to look forward to here. But surprise, surprise, Giancarlo Stanton has an injury that will put opening day in jeopardy for the Yankees DH. And Mets starter Frankie Montas, who signed with the team in December, has a high-grade lat strain. They say he's going to miss significant time. The Stanton thing first is kind of interesting. He said that he played most of last season with these injuries, and he said it's like tennis elbow in both elbows. So I don't know how that happens.
The steroids.
I mean, I don't know how that happens.
You can't flex your arms because they're so.
But tennis elbow in both elbows, and yes, to your point, if it was a problem
Why is it still a problem?
Most of last year, why wasn't something done in the offseason to address it? Don't know. Frankie Montas, that's a upper back injury, could be a little mid-back injury. And just said this on the news. There's no question that the Mets have rotation depth.
Yes.
What they don't have is a clear-cut ace of the rotation, or even one or two guys who you feel like really good. Hey, we got to stop a losing streak. Good thing we have him on the mound. We got game one of a playoff series. Definitely going to this guy. That does not exist. Now, is there power and depth? Yes. And Carlos Mendoza says he's still going to go with a 6-man rotation despite this Montas injury. They have the guys to do it, but some bad news out of spring training here. Aaron Boone gets a 2-year contract extension because he was going into his last season. He gets 26 and 27 now. Is this a good move?
Yes, because the Yankees have been contenders for the last 5 years. They went to the World Series last year. I mean, you're not going to let a guy, and this is the etiquette of the game. You're not letting a guy go into his final season and be a lame duck. A guy that just got you to the World Series. They should be as good. The problem is there are other teams that will be much better. I think the Dodgers are one of them. The Mets have gotten a lot better. I don't know.
But they're not in your league.
Correct. I don't know that the Yankees have gotten a lot better in the offseason.
The division has gotten better. Again, I mean, how many times are we going to talk about Toronto before they actually deliver? But the Orioles are good. Toronto is good.
The Red Sox have gotten better.
Boston has certainly gotten better. That division is
nobody's
difficult.
Sitting around, waiting. It feels like the Yankees lost Soto and then didn't do much of anything else.
I don't think there's a big need for the Yankees here. I could
First
say
base.
No, Goldschmidt.
Oh, right.
I could say a starting pitcher here. Feels like maybe a starter would be nice, but what's really out there that's going to change your opinion of the rotation? Nothing.
I don't hate their rotation, actually. I think it's really good. There was some chatter
run
about
him down for
Guerrero being like, because the Jays are going to let him walk, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I'll take that guy.
Yeah. Here's what Boone has done. I mean, Cole and Cortez.
Luis Heel.
Who
was really good last year.
Yeah.
Clark Schmidt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Those are 4 we just named quickly.
Yeah.
Here's what Boone has done. Second among active managers, only Dave Roberts has a better win percentage. One of 3 Yankees managers to reach postseason in 6 of first 7 seasons. And he's already 7th
and it's amazing
in total wins.
Because he's been on the hot seat almost every season.
Every year. Yankees fans have been upset with him.
And listen, I was one of them, but you can't now not give him the extension. It just makes too much sense to take the pressure off a little bit and see what happens.
All right, quick break here on Onorato and Miller. When we come back, 2 of the stars from Suits LA coming to NBC and News Channel 13 on Sunday night.
Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
Great memories start with Albany House. Amsterdam, Clifton Park, and High Adventure in Latham.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Albany House.
Back on Onorato and Miller, and returning to the airwaves is Suits. It's coming to NBC and Peacock. Sunday, February 23rd is the premiere, 9 o'clock, right here on News Channel 13, joined by 2 of the stars, Stephen Amell and Lex Scott Davis. Stephen, you've got a pretty good 2 truths it's not a lie, but if you were playing two truths and a lie, you could kind of mess with some people like, hey, I was a professional wrestler, I was a superhero, and I was also a lawyer. I mean, they all are true, but you could kind of mess with some people. Those are three interesting things.
Yeah, I think that people would say that the lawyer is a lie, right? Because the other two are just way too specific and seem kind of coordinated. Superheroes and professional wrestlers, yeah.
Lex, I don't know that in the world of streaming the way it is now that we could really explain like why a show catches fire the way the original Suits did. But now it's coming back to television and on NBC. What is it about this concept that you think still plays so well, or maybe even better than the first time around?
That is such a good question. I think no matter what platform, when the timing is right, the timing is right. When you have characters that are compelling and stories that are interesting, people are going to find it. I don't think we have to work hard for people to find this one. And so I'm just excited to be part of the conversation. I identify that it is a huge responsibility, and I take it seriously, and I'm just very happy to be on board. And I'm excited too, like the fans are, for what we're going to bring to the table.
All the episodes will stream on Peacock the day after they air on Sunday nights on NBC and News Channel 13. Stephen, your thoughts on playing this character and bringing this show back to television? What made it exciting for you?
I think that the idea of being on NBC, of being on one of the major broadcast networks, being on a show that's on Sunday night, I love the words that Aaron Korsh writes and our whole team of writers. I just think that when getting back to what people liked about the original, I think it was just characters that you liked to hang out with. You wanted to hang with Harvey and Mike and Lewis and Donna, and I get the same feeling here, and I start to see those dynamics when I see the cuts of our show. As well, that these are just characters that you're like, oh, okay, I want to spend an hour with this person. And so, yeah, it's just really, really intriguing and something that is, I guess you can think about these things in retrospect or with hindsight once you book them. But at the time, honestly, it was just really exciting to have an in-person audition.
Yes.
Believe it or not. It had been years since I had an in-person audition because I was either working or some things have been done virtually for the past several years. So I was just excited about that aspect of it. I hadn't seen the original show. And then, of course, now we know all of the responsibilities that come with it. But we embrace those.
Lex, last thing while I still have you here, it's the Battle of Coasts from New York to LA. Which is the more appealing Suits?
Come on.
Oh. So, they're which is the more appealing? I think I view this as a
let me remind you. Let me just jump in here real quick and say
they're not the same. It's not. Yeah.
It is currently like 18 degrees in New York.
Yeah. See, I was going to give you a 4-word answer: 72 and sunny.
Yeah.
But see, I'm an East Coast girl.
Yeah.
So then there's that. If we're talking coast, that's a different conversation.
Well, where do you live?
Hey now. He got me there. I am a transplant. I live in LA.
So am I.
And maybe that says it all. Even from Toronto and an East Coast girl. Stephen Amell, Lex Scott Davis, thank you so much. I know we've got to let you go. We appreciate the time we had with you, though. Can't wait to see Suits LA on NBC Sunday night at 9 p.m. Thank you, guys.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bev's, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bev's. At the end of the day, if you walk in your stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
The great thing about novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Albany House.
Coming up this weekend, Albany FireWolves are hosting a women in sports panel.
Yep.
March, of course, is Women's History Month. We had Women and Girls
in Sports
Day
early in the month.
Right.
The 4th?
The 5th or the 6th,
okay.
I think. Yeah. So anyway, all that comes together for a panel that Ash is going to moderate on Saturday night before the home game for the FireWolves, 5 to 6 p.m. at MVP Arena.
You can register for it to attend.
You register for it. It comes with a ticket to the game.
Free ticket.
That night as well. So I'm going to go to the panel.
You are?
Yeah.
Are you going to go to the game?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the game.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's nice of you to support me.
Well, it's not supposed to be snowing.
Yeah, last week was a little more rough.
And I'll push bedtime a little bit.
Okay.
To be able to go to the game.
I can appreciate that.
One of the panelists is Megan Grabowski, who is the Wolfpack dance team head coach.
Head coach / choreographer.
Correct. Exactly.
We like calling, I don't know if she would like to be called coach.
Uh-oh.
We like calling people head coaches.
I think she's the head coach.
It's a team. She's the coach. I know she choreographs as well. We're going to ask her.
All right.
What she prefers.
Let's start with that compelling question.
Hi, Meg.
To start this.
Hello.
Interview. Are you a head coach, Meg?
I'm a head coach.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Actually, I prefer head coach over choreographer.
Okay.
How come?
Because you do more than just choreograph.
Exactly. You know, I find myself sometimes being like a mom figure to some of the girls. And choreography is great, but sometimes I pass it off to my assistant coach, Jenna Snide. She does a fantastic job. So we kind of balance the choreography part, but the head coach is I love it. It's great.
Jenna has been part of the Capital Region Dancing with the Stars.
Oh,
the only 2
I bet
years
she
it's
was
existed.
good.
She has put many, many, many people to shame.
Oh, well, including you.
Well, last year. That doesn't take much.
I know.
Meg, what does it mean to you to have the FireWolves kind of not back Women's History Month necessarily, but spotlight the women in the sports world? You're on the panel.
Yep.
There's another member of the FireWolves staff on the panel.
Nice.
We've got a member from the Adirondack Thunder coming to Albany to be part of this as well. What does it mean to be part of this organization that obviously is wants to put you all on the pedestal you deserve?
Means a lot. I think there's like a whole movement right now. I mean, I look at women's wrestling. I mean, that's taking a big turn to allowing young women to wrestle. It means a lot. I mean, I think these girls work really hard. I mean, I view dance as a sport. I mean, these girls are very physical. We practice every Monday from 7:30 to 10, and we've been practicing since September. So there's a lot of work, a lot of passion. And I think if you look at what, the players do in the game of lacrosse and what the girls are doing in the sport of dance, there's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of similarity. And so I think the fact that we're able to bring the passion of dance and entertainment, because when you go to a game, I mean, there's entertainment in the game itself, but there's also entertainment in between halves. At halftime, we dance between third and fourth. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for the entertainment component with dance to be involved in the game of lacrosse. Yeah, it's fun. It's a blast. And I'm so grateful that the NLL and a lot of the teams have dance teams. And so they're behind us 100% into bringing, women in sports into, the NLL.
Meg, you started in 2019, you were with the Empire as the head coach of that dance team. You've been with the FireWolves since year one, which was 2021. You and I kind of came in together with that team.
Yeah.
What has it been about this organization, this league, that has kept you coming back? Because the team has had highs and lows, but you're still here, and the girls are still here dancing, and you guys seem to enjoy it.
I love sports. I've been around sports my entire life. My father coached soccer and wrestling for 35 years. So it's just kind of instilled in me. And I think it's the passion of wanting to do better. I think it's wanting to get the community involved. I think community plays a big part in this sport, especially here in the Capital District, and as a league. So I think it's the involvement of the sport itself. It's the community. It's what we do, not in the game itself, not on Saturday nights. It's what we do throughout the rest of the year. That's really just kept me involved. I love it. It's great. It's a great organization. I love the FireWolves, the front office, the players, the coaches. Coach Clark, he loves the girls. He always is giving us high fives. So I think it's like the support all around. It's not separate, although we work separately. On game day, we all come together and make it happen. So, it's awesome.
I've seen y'all at Dick's House of Sport doing some of those community events that you're talking about there. Not to steal any of your thunder and the wisdom you might share Saturday night on this panel, but what would you tell a young girl now who is getting more exposure to, women's success, which has always been there, but now more exposure to it in athletics and even the surrounding of the game itself?
I think it's never turning down an opportunity. It's continuing to explore, the people around you and having conversations. I think social media is fantastic. It can be used for good and bad. But when I was looking for jobs, social media really wasn't around. Not to age myself, but
same. Same.
Right? Okay.
We're on the same boat.
Great. So I think it's networking. It's having conversations. It's never turning down opportunity. I wouldn't have known about the Empire opportunity if it wasn't for a dear friend of mine who actually was approached about it. And she said, you know what? I don't really have the time for this. She said, but I'm going to pass this along to my friend Megan. And then that's how it was born. And so I just think it's like maintaining the relationships. I think it's never saying no to an opportunity. It might not be the best opportunity and you can move on from it or just pass it along. But I think it's just maintaining that openness of anything that comes your way, saying, yeah, I'll give it a shot, and maintaining, that attitude. I think you just got to go for it.
Megan, you brought it up. It was one of your fellow friends, a female, who thought of you. And I think growing up, there are so many girls who there are cliques. And if you're not playing in the same sport, there become divisions. And whether you're academically here or there, how much do you as a head coach, even now as an adult, feel yourself still instilling the idea of like women empowering other women? It feels like it's becoming much more commonplace and that there's a little bit of a movement in that regard. But is that something that you find yourself preaching?
Yeah, I do, especially in like the dance world. I mean, I think it's pretty female dominated, and I've worked in male dominated careers before. And so like, I think that has helped me enter the workforce of being in the sports industry. Is usually it's male dominated. Right. And so I think when we have panels like we're about to be on, I'm excited to learn more about their background. How can they help me? How can I help them? And you just rally behind each other. I mean, I think, there's a lot I teach at a local studio and have for about 15 years, and there's a ton in this area. And if you don't back each other up, if you don't support one another, when you have, when I'm coming together to build a dance team of a collective group of girls that might have danced, or young women that might have danced in all of these different studios, you want to support one another because you can say, I have an opportunity for you. I might not have coached you directly when you were younger, but, come join our team. It's a collective group of women that, have a great background from the area.
Here's a look at that panel. Again, it's 5 to 6 o'clock Saturday night at MVP Arena. You register for the discussion, you get a free ticket to the game with it. You've got somebody from the FireWolves, like we mentioned, somebody from the Thunder, Philadelphia Wings will be represented as well, right?
And then college athletics, Katie Flatico played at UAlbany and is now at Iona.
I have to say, I'm so excited to meet Abby because talking about networking, when I was with the Empire, I went to Philly to meet the head dance team coach there during the AFL days. And she then ended up working with Abby because she entered into the NLL for the Wings when they had a dance team. So it's like all connected. So it's, it's so cool. I'm really excited to meet Abby face to face and be like, yeah, we have the commonality here.
Yeah, I love that. Well,
Meg, I know you teach. Do you ever get out and dance still? Like, do you?
On Mondays, if I'm choreographing, you might catch me at ABC Fitness if you want to peek in the windows there. But yeah, I try my best. I try to stick with Pilates. Keeps me in shape for sure. But I move a little bit. I try my best.
Listen, your best is a lot better than ours.
Oh, there's no doubt. No doubt about it. Well, Meg, I'm looking forward to that conversation Saturday and the game, of course, at MVP Arena, 7:00 face-off, 5:00 for that Women in Sports panel. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
See you Saturday.
That'll be fun. And,
that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. A cool opportunity for you too, right? Yeah. To be surrounded by women.
No doubt. And it's a lot of women who I've probably seen other than Megan, who I've seen and interacted with, but maybe don't know them. Yeah. So it'll be a good chance to get to know them.
Was this comment for Meg or for
I think
one
probably
of us?
You.
Oh, me. No, then the answer is no, Sam. You cannot.
No dance moves.
Yeah, it's out there somewhere. I won't be actively sharing it. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, when we come back here on Onorato and Miller, we'll trip down memory lane with a viewer who was at the Miracle on Ice in 1980 in Lake Placid. It's the 45th anniversary this Saturday, February 22nd. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to hop on and kind of talk about what he remembers about being in the arena, being in that little village on that day in 1980. We'll share that conversation next year on Onorato and Miller.
Great memories start with Alpen House. Amsterdam, Clifton Park, and High Adventure in Latham.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just gonna have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bevs. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpen House.
Saturday, February 22nd is the anniversary of the Miracle on Ice. And it's funny, the more and more we talk about it, people always like to say, and a lot of people don't realize that when the U.S. beat Russia, that wasn't for the gold. I think more and more people have realized that if they didn't, because they constantly get reminded by it, that was not the gold medal game, but it's remembered as the biggest game of the tournament because of so many different things. Obviously, the U.S. is being big underdogs, but also the Cold War and just those underlying tensions politically going into that game. And I've heard stories from people, right? I was alive. I've heard stories from people who were there or even, more funny, had a chance to be there and sold the ticket because they didn't think the Americans had a chance. But one guy who was there is Dan Carubia. Now, Ash and I know Dan from his days at the Valley Cats. He's still at the Valley Cats. We don't cover the team the way we used to. But as an usher at Valley Cats games. And so in between innings, we would always talk with Dan, and he's a huge sports fan. And he reached out to say, hey, I was at the Miracle on Ice game, and it'll be 45 years this coming Saturday, February 22nd. And we thought, well, this will be cool to go down memory lane a little bit with Dan Carubia, who saw Michael Ruzioni dancing around on skates and then probably watched back Al Michaels' incredible call. So Dan Carubia is on the podcast this week. Dan, it's good to see you, man. It's been a while, but I'm glad you reached out with this idea because it'll be fun for, I hope, our viewers who certainly remember that moment in history to relive it, and for the people who don't remember that moment to get a little bit of a firsthand account from you. So thank you for doing this. I guess the first thing I would ask you is these games, these Olympics were on tape delay. Even though they were played in Lake Placid, New York, they were not shown live. They were held and tape delayed for prime time. And so I wonder, when you witnessed the U.S. win that game, did you get to a payphone somewhere to call somebody to tell them it had happened?
Absolutely not. It was when it came on at 5 o'clock. That's the game. I had the ticket for it and everything. No big deal. The game was going to be 8 o'clock at night because a week before, 10 days before, in New York City at Madison Square Garden, the USA team lost to the Russians 10-3. They got an ass beating. And the Russians were so good. They hadn't lost a lot of games. They won 20-something games in a row in competition. And I guess the local stations or the network that was covering it said, okay, we'll put it on. But, even going into the game, me and talking to people, because I like to talk, if America lost by 3 goals, that was going to be a good competitive game. And I know this is a lead up to it, but my dad took me to the 1960 a Russian USA game at Madison Square Garden, a prelim to Squaw Valley. Jack McCartan was the goaltender. Pushkov was the Russian goaltender. I was a goaltender playing roller hockey and ice hockey growing up. 1964 comes, there's another game at the Garden prior to the Olympics in Europe. The USA team is playing at the Garden. The guys are staying at the Hotel Manhattan. My friends and I, Joe Kasha, Stan Boylan, and Danny Boylan, and Stan Mazakowski, we went to the hotel, got autographs, walked with 2 players 5 blocks to the 49th and 8th Avenue, and walked up the street to put them in where the entrance was for the players. One was Bob Turk, the other was Herb Brooks. And we watched the game, and you could go at that time down to in front of the Ranger locker room where the team was staying. You could go right next to them. There was 10 feet. You walk up the steps, you're in the rink. After the game, we're downstairs in front of the locker room. Can I have your stick? Can I have your stick? I got Bob Turk's stick. My friend Joe Kasha got Herb Brooks' stick. We played roller hockey with the sticks, broke the sticks and threw them away.
Boy, what those would be worth now. But you've got a jersey hanging behind you.
Yeah.
You mentioned the walk into what is now Herb Brooks Arena in Lake Placid. Take us back to that moment as much as you can in terms of, I know you said the attitude was kind of like, hey, if the U.S. loses by 3 goals, that's a victory. What was the atmosphere like, though? Like I mentioned the political tensions of the Cold War, the beating that this team took a week before, as you mentioned. What was the atmosphere like? Was there just excitement that the U.S. had gotten that far and that was going to be good enough?
Yes, absolutely. Because to go into that game, the Americans beat, I think, West Germany, and the Russians beat Canada. I had tickets to those 2 games because that was February 20th at Lake Placid there. And but going into that game, now we're going to 1 win away from going into gold medal, but we're playing Russia. And we got our butts beat in. Let's see what happens. So we went in, and I'm sitting right above Jim Craig for 2 periods on the upper deck. I can look right down. This is a photo of where I was looking like that, okay? And the people there just wanted to watch. There was a little bit of USA. Russia scores first, no big deal. Okay, here it comes now. What's going to happen? And then America gets a goal in the middle of the first period, ties it up, and Mark Johnson scores with 1 second left to go in the first period. And that's when it happened, and even happened better when the team comes out for the second period and finds out Vladislav Tretiak, one of the top goaltenders in the world, is sitting on the bench. Did he get injured? What happened?
All right, let me ask you this. If that game is not played in the United States, does the U.S. win?
Whoa. I'm going to say, yeah.
Okay. I only ask that not to be disrespectful of the skill level of the Americans, but because you made it sound like, okay, momentum and the tide turned, and you're describing it from a fan's perspective and what it must have felt like in the arena. So my guess is the players really fed off that, even when it was 1-1.
I think because of 1-1 after that period and not losing like they were doing a couple of weeks before gave them an impetus. And Herb Brooks brought that team. This is what, to me, is so important. Teamwork. This is guys on that team came from Minnesota, Massachusetts. They played college hockey together. They're going up against a Russian team that was mostly in the Russian army. They were getting paid. And Herb Brooks brought this team together by doing Brooksies. Brooksies was skating from the red line, from the goal line to the red line and back, and he got people to argue against him, yelling at the players. It brought the team together. So I think as a team that was not divided in one way or at all, they could have played that team anywhere. But at Lake Placid with 8,000 fans going USA, USA, it gave them a spark. And it was an incredible feeling for me to watch sporting events growing up, to see this. I was stunned.
All right, I've only got a couple more questions here in the little bit of time we have left, Dan. One, where would you rank that moment in American sports history? Even aside from the fact that you were there, what happened that day and everything that surrounded it. Number one, you say.
Number one, you said it right. Russia invaded Afghanistan. Interest rates were 17, 18%. There was back and forth. And now that is number one sporting event, because as a team, they beat the powerful Russians. And to me, look, I was in the locker room when the Mets won in '69. In the locker room when they won in '86. I was in the I was in the ring with Muhammad Ali's second fight at Madison Square Garden. I got photos of this. I drank out of the Stanley Cup when the Islanders won. I was at a dinner in Montreal. I was working up there with the All-Stars, 1982. I was on the field for the whole thing. I got a photo of my dad telling me to hop the railing at Ebbets Field in 1956 to take a picture of me and Jackie Robinson. All of that. This is it. This was and I was stunned when that Russian didn't know how to play that. When Ruzioni scored, Russia did not know how to play behind. So they would pass over the line. They didn't know how to dump and chase. 10 minutes to go in the game, they started dump and chase. And they outshot, the Russians outshot the Americans 40-16 or something like that. But they didn't know how to play that dump and chase game. When Kenny Morrow came around, pass it to Dave Silk up at the blue line, I just stood there. I was standing. Generally, me at the time getting on the field, sneaking all over the place, I would have been down by the ice, getting on the ice. I didn't move. And when we came out of that, I came out on the side where the Olympic speed skating track is in front of the high school. Everybody started to sing "God Bless America." We went down to Main Street. I think it was Jim Lampley I interviewed with Jim Lampley because the people were screaming. And it was the most, and this is going to be 45 years, 10 years ago, we were at the reunion, and Jim Craig signed this to me.
Wow.
And then I got this. This is the whole team signing with the ticket. And I gave it to my grandson, Odin, whose birthday is coming up on February 22nd. He will be 18 years old. And I want to tell you, with all of that and with my dad taking me to those games growing up as a kid, and to come to this, It was the most remarkable. Nothing will ever top that. And I thank you for letting me speak on this.
And is that your ticket?
Yes, but it's in in the it's in the thing that I gave to my grandson.
Pretty cool. Really, really cool. Dan, this was a fun little trip down memory lane. And then I was in Placid for the 25th anniversary, doing news stories then. And it's amazing that we're going to be coming up on 50 pretty soon. You know, it'll be a huge celebration of Lake Placid. This was fun, Dan. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
My double chin will be probably a lot lower.
We're all working on that.
Thank you very much, Chris. See ya.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
The great thing about novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alphen House.
That was fun with Dan, who, again, we know from Valley Cats games and as passionate as it comes.
I said his sports memory is insane.
But
I can't remember.
Sam commented, I mean, what a
the bucket list of, the list of items. Yeah. I can't remember what I have for lunch most days, and that guy's rattling off memories of some of the greatest sporting events ever.
To prove our memories are bad, we left Max Fried off the Yankees rotation. And
Carlos Rodon.
Nestor Cortez
was traded last year. Yeah.
So
Rodon, Fried.
Cole, Fried.
Rodon, Heel,
Rodon, Schmidt.
It's pretty good. I'll take it. I mean, when they're all good. Like, the thing is Rodon, the first season was terrible. Most of the first half of last year was good, and then the second half was bad. Yeah. Fried's coming off injuries. Like, you just kind of never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and the additions of Bellinger and Goldschmidt, I think the Yankees have had as good of an offseason as they could have when they weren't able to bring Juan Soto back. The NCAA committee, when it comes to the men's basketball tournament, released its top 16 seedings over the weekend. 5 of the top 6 are in the SEC.
Yeah, it's warranted.
You had 1 versus 2 on Saturday. Auburn, Alabama in college basketball. What a shift. Because
from the ACC to the SEC.
That conference has invested in coaches. NIL money has changed it, obviously. The ACC better get its act together.
Yeah, listen, Duke is still Duke, and Duke has a chance to win a title this year.
It does.
But the SEC is king.
Isn't that crazy?
Not only in football.
Sam pointed this out as well, so I'll throw it up. Again, it'll be a little dated for our weekend crowd.
I'm going to ping pong. I'm going to be bouncing channels back and forth.
Claire Hutton and U.S. Women's National Team against Colombia. Here's the rest of their schedule in the She Believes Cup. Australia on Sunday, Japan on Wednesday. Those are 5
Go Claire.
And 10:30 Eastern on Sunday and Wednesday. If you're watching us over the weekend, a chance to see the Bethlehem grad with the U.S. Women's National Team. Pretty cool. And hope she gets a lot of playing time.
Be awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week on Onorato and Miller.